Welcome to Among the Lilies. This is a show for ladies who are tired of pretending and are ready to be real. I'm your host, Cameron Frad, and in today's episode, you have me. I am talking about my experience recently on a Delta airline. I have written a letter, I have it here, I've written a letter to Delta CEO, and I'm going to explain what happened to you on the flight. But basically, I've written a letter to the CEO of Delta explaining why I think he is contributing to minors being exposed to pornography. Yep, that's what you have in store on today's show. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a glass of wine, whatever you need, sit back and relax. This is Among the Lilies, a show for ladies who are tired of pretending and are ready to be real. Okay, so I am not just recording the podcast, I'm also doing a live little video. So I apologize if this is awkwardly recording. Here's the thing, I'll show you on the video. I am on the floor in the office because my son's allergic to everything. And if you listen to the last episode, you understand why I'm sitting on the floor. So I'm awkwardly sitting on the floor. So if I look uncomfortable, that's why. But I was so angry when this happened and I wanted to do a video right away, and I felt like I was called to be patient and prudent. And so I tried to be patient and prudent. So I feel like I've been patient and prudent. I wrote a letter shortly after I flew, I think it was like January 10th, 9th or I don't know. I flew the first week of January. A day or two later, I wrote this letter, got my thoughts together, and basically wrote to the CEO of Delta and explained what happened. So let me tell you what happened first, okay? I was on an airplane ride. I had my two daughters with me. One is 7, the other is 10. And it was a normal flight. We get on, sit down, whatever. It's normal stuff. Kids are excited to be on the airplane. We get in. My daughter asks if she can sit in the window seat. She really wants the window seat. And both my daughters want the window seat. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll let the youngest have it. We let her have it. The other one's like, okay, well then I want the aisle. You can sit in the middle. I was like, sorry, no, mommy's boss. I'll sit in the aisle. You can have the middle. And I am so thankful that I did this because of what happened next. So they get their snacks, they're watching their movies. I'm sitting there, and you know how like there's a car wreck and you can't help but look at it? Sometimes other people's screens are like that to me on the airplane. I know I have ADD and not everyone has ADD, but my ADD I think makes it even worse. So I noticed someone out of the corner of my eyes watching a movie and it's like a sex scene. I'm like, okay, there we go. I'll look past it, and it's still going. I'm like, what is going on? It's a strip joint, and they're filming inside of a strip joint, and they're filming it for a long period of time. And then there's lap dances, all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? So it's a new movie. Well, I guess not that newer-ish movie called Hustlers with J-Lo. I haven't seen the movie. I can't really tell you if it's a great movie or not. All I know is I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And I was like, oh my goodness, she's like in a thong and that's it on a pole. And I'm checking my kids, making sure they can't see. I'm noticing there's another young child directly behind this woman who's watching the screen. And I'm like, okay, she doesn't realize there's kids near her. Someone needs to let her know. And I'm also thinking, just why can I see her screen? Like, I realize, like, by law, when you're most of you have flown, right? When you're getting on the airplane and the screen says, are you over 18? Or this has partial nudity or violence or whatever. And you click that OK button. Okay, that lady clicked the OK button. I did not click the OK button. And certainly my kids beside me did not click the OK button. And so it's just not okay that they're being exposed to this, right? So I feel like, I'm going to get into more of what happened with my story, but I feel like Delta says that they're going to protect your children. So before I got on the flight, there was a guy checking his kids in at the front desk, like children that fly by themselves. And Delta sees to it that they arrive safely from point A to point B. They're safe and sound. What they don't secure is the safety of the child on the plane for their eyes and what they see, or their mind or their heart and what they're exposed to, or their innocence. I don't think any mom or dad signing a paper at the front desk being like, okay, and they're like, oh, by the way, while your child's strapped in, they're going to be watching a strip joint the majority of the flight. Is that okay? No, obviously not. And no Delta employee wants the child to be doing that. But depending on where that child's sitting, that may very well happen. When the movie Hustler is being played right in front of them, they don't have a choice but to watch it, right? I mean, they can look down, but it's alluring. Like the human body is beautiful and good. And JLo's a great dancer. And you're like, wow, look at it. Whoa. And it's stirring up stuff in you that even JLo herself, I'm sure she would not want a 5-year-old watching this. So I think she even got some awards for her performance in Hustlers. For those of you that haven't seen Hustlers, it's a movie that's basically all these strippers go after Wall Street guys, I think, and get their money, and may have a great storyline. I don't know. But if I drop my kids off, if I went, I don't even know if I can do this, but if I drop my kids off, even my 12-year-old son, if I dropped him off at the movie theater, they would not let him into Hustlers. That he could go watch Frozen, he could go watch, I don't know, a new Star Wars movie, whatever the movie is, he can go see that. But the movie theater, which none of us have high standards of movie theater employees, right? They will not let my child walk in and watch Hustlers. So why is Hustlers allowed to be taken and put on the airplane for my child to see? Okay, I feel like it's illegal for someone to take my children or any children into a strip joint. Everyone says that is not okay. If someone's like, oh yes, I'm gonna take my son down to the gentleman's club because he's 7 and, boys. No, they'd be like, I'm sorry, what is wrong with you? No, your 7-year-old does not belong in a gentleman's club, which really isn't a gentleman's club, but they don't belong in a strip joint. That's not meant for them. So even if JLo did a great job in this movie and she's super proud of it, I think she would agree with me. No, 5-year-olds should not be strapped down and 7-year-olds and forced to watch it. So my issue's not with Hustler, but with Delta for allowing this to happen. So I tapped the woman on the shoulder. I'm like, she must not know. And at this point, I didn't even know what movie it was. I'm just like, I'm going to see if that happens again. It happened again. And it's not like a short sex scene in a movie that it's like, oh, well, you happen to be looking up. Like, this is what this entire movie's about. Okay. It's a strip joint, the majority of the movie. And, so I tapped the woman on the shoulder. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know you're in the middle of a movie. I don't mean to bother you. I just want you to know that there's kids back here that can see your screen. And she looks at me and she's like, so? And I was like, well, what you're watching is not appropriate for kids, and I don't think that they should be watching it. And she's like, agreed. And I was like, okay. And she's like, it's not my fault. It's Delta's fault. It's not like I'm watching it on my computer. Delta provided this on the screen for me. And if it's not okay for kids, it's Delta's fault. Delta shouldn't have it on here. And she put her earbuds back in and went back to her movie. I was like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. So what did I do? Press the call button, talk to the flight attendant. The flight attendant comes over. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know that there is this movie being shown that's not appropriate for children. And there's 3 kids in this row that are an eye shot of it. I sat like this so my kids couldn't see it. And I was like, hey, watch this game, play this. And I kept them distracted. And luckily my girls are pretty short, so I was able to block them. But I couldn't say the same about the girl that's directly behind this woman. And so the Delta employee apologizes to me and is like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I know I have kids too. I know they shouldn't be watching it. Really, there's nothing Delta can do about it. It's her right and her freedom to watch what she wants on the airplane. I was like, no, I disagree. I remember, and I said this in my letter to Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta. I remember flying, and I'm not that old. I'm kind of old, but I'm not that old. I remember flying when I got peanuts. Like, that was my favorite thing, getting on airplanes and opening up the little bags of peanuts and eating them and being so excited. Well, guess what? I don't think any airlines give out peanuts anymore. I know Delta doesn't. I normally fly with Delta, and I love my Kind bars and my almonds. And I know, and my kids like the little cookies. I'm gluten-free, so I can't have the cookies. But there are no peanuts on the flight. Or if there are, it's someone that brought it on. Delta doesn't provide it. There's enough people with peanut allergies. It's been made aware to Delta, and they're like, okay, for the safety of our passengers, we're not going to have it. Well, I think that for the safety of our passengers, Hustler should not be on the screens. There's so many children that fly with Delta. Delta claims to have a very high standard. So this is their mission statement. We Delta employees, customers, and community partners together form a force of positive local and global change, dedicated to a bettering standards of living and the environment where we are and our customers, in our customers' lives and works. Okay, this is not bettering my life. I love my children and I don't want them exposed to pornography. My husband speaks out on this. Matt Fradd, I don't know if I have his book. I'm sitting in our office. His book's probably in here somewhere. He He travels around the country and gives talks to schools on the problems of pornography and how it's harming people. It hurts all of us, but especially children. Children are being exposed at young ages. I think the average age now is like 7 that they're being exposed. And normally it's through phones. It's through someone sending them a text message, or the porn industry pays a lot of money. So I've had so many parents call me and tell me their horror stories of what their kids have been exposed to because they accidentally stumbled on porn, because they looked up funny videos of My Little Pony, or a dyslexic child typed in lego.com wrong, or they're searching for Disney princess movies and it's pornographic and it's horrible. But I didn't expect to have my guard up sitting on an airplane on Delta. Like I didn't. And I know that Delta, you offer those screen settings so I can put their screen at PG only, which is great. Thank you for offering that. So my kids won't accidentally watch Hustler. But it doesn't mean the person diagonal from them's not watching Hustler. I took a video that's honestly really graphic and I don't think I should put online, but I can. But there's a picture that you can see. I mean, it's basically someone just doing a strip dance on a pole wearing less clothing than what's on my shoulder here. This bit is less clothing than that on their entire body. And it's not appropriate for kids to see. Like, it's not. It is not okay. It's really sad that I think that they're exposing children to pornography. Kristen Jensen has this great, here we go. Here's Matt's book. Look. Let me pull it out. I bet it's even in here. I didn't plan this. But look, this is my husband's book. It's called The Porn Myth. It is it's exposing the reality behind the fantasy of pornography and how it affects the brain. He interviews neuroscientists, all sorts of people with PhDs, and I don't even know what that means, but really smart people that one of the people that he talks about, Kristen Jensen, I think is her name. She wrote a book called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, and it's how to talk to your children about the problems of pornography. And in fact, I'm going to have her on the podcast, so it's a good reminder for me to get her on the podcast. But she says pornography is something that shows, so the definition that we tell our children is pornography is something that shows, is an image. So there's good pictures, just like the picture that you look at your family from going on vacation and having this great time, or Christmas photos. Great pictures. There's also bad pictures that show people with little to no clothes on. So if your bathing suit's supposed to cover an area and it doesn't, that's a pornographic image. So it's just very simple language, and it just makes it easy to talk to little kids about it. So according to, I think everyone's definitions, actually, they would say Hustler is pornographic. There's definitely pornographic scenes in it. It should not be on the Delta flight. So at this point, the flight attendant tells me she can't do anything about it. So what do you think I do? I'm like, okay, I can't protect I'm going to try to protect every single person that flies with Delta, and do this podcast, do this recording, ask you to share it with your friends. And hopefully if we raise enough awareness and be like, hey, Delta, it's not okay. I'm not okay with this. I know a lot of people that have written to them and have complained about the screens, and I love that I have TV options. I just don't think Hustler needs to be there. So anyhow, I know a lot of people that have complained. I'm hoping that we can get them to take this movie off of their screening privileges. And anyhow, I knew that I could at least protect this one child in the row beside me. So I tapped the man on the shoulder. I'm like, I'm so sorry, sir. Hi, I know that you're in the middle of watching a movie. I noticed you're traveling with your daughter. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I just wanted you to know that the woman in front of you is watching something that's not appropriate for kids. He peeks around, has one look, and his eyes are like huge. And he's like, oh my, no, I didn't realize that. Thank you so much. And so he goes to his daughter, kisses her on the head, pulls her in, and redirects her like a good dad would. He wants to protect her, right? And so I couldn't protect all the kids on the plane, but I could at least protect that one. At this point, the woman sitting there watching Hustler, I'm sure she was enjoying her movie, and I didn't want to ruin her movie. I just wanted to not expose my kids to these images. And I never, ever want my kids to go to a strip joint, especially not when they're 7 and 10 years old. It's not appropriate. And I want my girls to know that they are good and beautiful, and their body is good and beautiful. And I don't want them to think that if they don't look exactly like this image of this naked girl dancing, and like dancing in such a way to stir up lust in these guys, I don't want my girls to be like, this is womanhood. behold, they are worth so much more than that. But I definitely don't want to have this conversation on an airplane, right? And this is not when I want this all to go down. So the woman sitting there watching the movie, I'm sure she's thinking about what I've said. And I don't know if she could hear me talking to the flight attendant or the gentleman behind her, but she changed. She changed the movie. She was well into her movie, and something in her was like, this isn't right. Like, it's not okay that these kids see this, or I don't want this woman to keep saying stuff to me. And I don't know that I would have or not, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of outspoken like that, but I just feel like when there's being an injustice done, someone needs to speak up. And if no one's going to do it, I will do it. And that's what I do. And it gets me in trouble. And sometimes I say things when I shouldn't say them. But I think in this situation, I should have said something. It was right for me to stand up for my girls and that other girl on the airplane. And right now, speaking into this microphone, I think it's right that Delta hear my complaint. And no, like, you don't mess with a mama bear. This is not okay. If anyone else out there is listening and you don't want your kids watching a strip joint on an airplane, reshare this. Tweet at Delta. Tweet at them and tell them, or post it on Facebook or YouTube, whatever your social media thing is, and say, hey, Delta, this isn't cool. I'm going to fly another airlines. Or I don't know, like, Delta, you claim to have this high standard. They say something in, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, they say Delta lives up to its core values of honesty, integrity, respect, perseverance, and servant leadership. Okay, I don't see Delta living up to integrity. Have integrity. Please remove this movie. I realize it'll cost you a few dollars. Do it though. Have integrity. I'm going to be perseverant, as you claim to be, in saying this is not okay. Okay, I have friends, like my husband's like a high, I don't know what he is. He's like a silver elite, whatever, diamond something, Delta person. I have Sky Miles, and that's all exciting, but I'm a normal person. I have friends that are like the highest level. My husband's a high level. Like, your voices matter more than mine, to be honest. And so my husband is going to write a letter and also complain and share this video and maybe do his own video. But we need to have a voice, and we need to stand up for the innocence of little kids. It's not fair. It is not fair. The only people that I know that show videos like this to little kids are pedophiles. Pedophiles will, to desensitize their victims. I heard this one story. This guy was actually a scout leader, which is just really sad. But he basically showed the Boy Scouts. He'd have like summer parties with them and show the young boys porn and let them watch it, and like start off easier and then get more hardcore. And then when he behaved inappropriately with them, they were desensitized to it. I don't think Delta is trying to do that, but Delta, that's what's going to happen. If you keep allowing this video and videos like this, you're desensitizing children. And the only person that I know, or group of people that do that on purpose, I don't think you've done this on purpose, Delta. I think that you were like, oh, this movie seems to have great reviews and people would really like to watch it. I don't think you were thinking about the kids. So I'm bringing it up. Think about the kids. Please remove this movie. Even if it's a great movie, I'm sure the girl that was watching it went home and finished watching it. I have no beef with that. I'm fine with her watching whatever she wants to watch, just not at the expense of my children, not at the expense of minors. I feel like there should be some stands that we can take. Right now, the best thing I know to do is retweet this, share this podcast, share this, write to Delta, tag them in it, at Delta, get rid of Hustler. And yeah, I feel like there's other moms that feel the exact same way as me. But really, if you're just a decent human being and you don't think it's okay for big, powerful people to objectify little small people, share this, because that's what's happening. And I don't think Delta meant to, but I expect more from Delta. They pride themselves on having, a better experience than the others. Someone told me that there's another airline. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's one of those, like, I don't expect to fight for my seat when I'm going with Delta, right? I don't expect to get nickeled and dimed for my bags because Delta has a higher standard. Someone told me there's another airline where you do fight for your seat and they do nickel and dime you for bags, but they said that they have things on their screen so you can't see the person's screen beside you. So come on, Delta. Fix this, please. Take this movie down. Make it so little kids can't watch strip joints, okay? The strip joint, yeah, it's not okay. So And Delta wrote me back. And so thank you, Delta. You did give me a letter back, and I appreciate that. And you said that you were writing me on Ed's behalf, and that you're very sorry. You're sincerely sorry for my experience about this movie. You can only imagine how I felt. But you've passed the buck. You said you're going to pass it off. It's a tricky business matter. No, that's not good enough, Delta. I need more. I need you to take action, and take action now. So please join me, friends and podcast listeners, and share this, and let's get Delta to take down Hustler and not objectify little kids to watching strip joints. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. That is today's episode.